Hello, welcome to Australia, welcome to Australian Book Travels, and welcome to this week's book recommendation and a little bit of a catch-up, a little bit of a chat. So, I hope you've all been well. Before we get into it, I hope you have been well since our last video, whether that be the travel videos or the book recommendations. I hope you have been well and looking after yourselves, whether you're in the Northern Hemisphere or the Southern Hemisphere. Keeping warm, keeping cool, whichever that be. Yes, it's been fairly cold here. We have had thick frosts. In fact, 2 mornings we have woken up and it has almost looked like it hasn't been snowing. It doesn't snow here, not to my recollection, but it looks so white and white in the trees with all the frost that it looks like it's snowing. It's unbelievable. It's been so cold. Anyway, we are keeping warm by the fire and rugging up when we go out. That's important. I hope you all are too if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. Okay, or in the colder parts of the Southern Hemisphere. Okay, I have a bit of an itchy nose there. Let's get on with it. Glasses. We're at the ready. First things first. Now, this was given to me recently. I'm not sure if I actually have told you all about this or shown you this, but a pen pal of mine who I have become friendly with through this channel, she sent me the daisies that you see up here, the crochet daisies. She made those and sent them to me along with bookmarks and this particular book. It is called Dear Reader by Kathy Rentzenbrink, and English. She lives in Cornwall. The book begins with her on her move to Cornwall, but we'll get into that. First of all, I want to show you this beautiful cover. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. Can you see it twinkle and shine? The cover is just beautiful. It has roses. That may actually, it looks a little bit like a dog rose or a more open, perhaps Tudor rose. That's what it reminds me of anyway. And there's a beautiful book there, but it really is a lovely cover. It's paperback. And honestly, when I started reading it, I was just engrossed in it. I could not put it down. It was really lovely. Now, a couple of things. One is, it does have some swear words in it. Unfortunately, a lot of books now do. This was not offensive in any way, and it was only just a couple of times in the book. It's not a very long read. It is, let me have a look. I think it's the 226 pages. 226. And this is published by, I'll tell you who it's published by, Picador in 2020. I absolutely love this. Now, Kathy, it's a memoir, a bit of a memoir. She talks about how books have, she's been an avid reader and a prolific reader all of her life, to the point where she then went on to become a bookseller in various bookshops in England, one of them being Hatchard's, and the Waterstones in, she started off at Waterstones in Harrods, the department store in London, and then she worked her way up and became manager and so forth. But and she has written a few novels. Throughout the book, she gives you books that she absolutely adores and have been pivotal in her life, in various stages of her life. It is so well written. It is beautifully written, but it is so well written. I could not put it down. It was lovely. So thank you to Anne, my pen pal. Thank you I hadn't heard of it before you sent it to me, and I'm so glad you did send it to me and that I read it. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. And it will be a book that I will keep on the bookshelf so that I can flick through it. Because I'll just give you an example. She gives in each section, for instance, here, she talks about fictional diaries, and then she will give you the book title that centres around or involves a diary. So, The Diary of a Nobody by George and Weedon Grossmith, Any Human Heart by William Boyd, The Crimson Petal and the White by Michael Faber, and so it goes on. Now, she then talks about bookshops and booksellers. She tells you how that has been evident in her life or interesting in her life or played a part in her life, and the various books. The Bookshop by Penelope Fitzgerald, The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield, and so forth. So each chapter deals with a section of her life and the books that she feels are pivotal to that or are representative of that section of her life. I absolutely love this. It will play a part on my bookshelf for the rest of my life. I loved it. And there are books in here that I definitely, although I haven't annotated it, I tend not to do that with my books, but I will definitely pop a little post-it note on, I think, and remind myself, or perhaps in one of my journals, I will write down the books that she recommends, because there are some books in here that I haven't read and they really sound interesting. So that is Dear Reader by Kathy Rentzenbrink, and thoroughly enjoyable. It's the subtitle is The Comfort and Joy of Books, and this one is definitely brought comfort and joy. So in its own right, I love it. It's fantastic. I recommend it. Now, the next one I recommend, well, I don't know. I'm a bit torn with this one, I have to be honest. This I bought in Stoneman's book room in Castlemaine, which is a little bit of a drive from us. It's a beautiful book room and it's in an old building and has been around for quite some time, the bookshop as well as the building. This is called The White Cockatoo Flowers Stories. They are a selection, I think, of 12 or more stories in here. Now, this was published by Transit Lounge in 2024, so it's this year. The cover is just stunning, absolutely stunning, and even the back of it there, and that's the spine. The book itself is just black. It's just black with the spine writing, but the end papers are absolutely stunning. They are pictures of or paintings or drawings of Australian flora. So different flowering gums and Banksias and things like that we have here. Absolutely beautiful end papers. Really lovely. Now, the stories themselves, this book is by, now I'm going to mispronounce this, I know, and I do apologise, but it's by Ouyang Yu. I think you can see that in the corner there, by Ouyang Yu, and there is a photo of him there. Now, he is Chinese, and he came to Australia in the early 90s, I think maybe 91 or 92. And these are his stories that he has written. Now, I think he has translated them, I don't think anybody else, nobody else has translated it. I think he has, from his translated from Chinese to English. I have to be honest, I was really looking forward to this. It's a hardcover. We all know that I love the hardcovers. It really looked interesting, and I was really excited because I thought it would have that Australian-Chinese connection. And it does. A lot of the stories talk about how the Chinese are either treated here or how they feel when they come to Australia or whilst they're living in Australia. I have to be honest, I found the prose really disjointed. I was having trouble following the story because it was really disconnected to me. And I don't mean to me, I mean each paragraph I couldn't relate to the one before. I was quite confused in reading it. It could be me. It may be what I will do is I only got partway through this. I found it really confusing. I could understand some of the context or what the story was about. I could make that out in some of them. Some of them I couldn't. Some of them I thought were really quite strange stories, actually. So I didn't get through all of them. I have to be honest. I just couldn't work my way through it. What I will do, I never give up on a book entirely unless it's really, really badly written. So I will put it down, and perhaps in another 6 months or so, I will try it again. But I found the first third of the book, I just found really disjointed. I found the stories not to my liking. It wasn't about the liking. It was just that I couldn't understand what it was about. Perhaps a very thin thread, but of what the story was about, but not entirely. And I didn't enjoy it. I'm hoping I will, perhaps in another 6 months. I wanted to enjoy it. I went in it with started it like I do with most books. I started with an entirely open mind, excited to read, but yeah, I just couldn't. So I'm sorry to say this is a book that I will be putting aside. I will come back to it, and perhaps in a few months' time, I'll be able to say to you, actually, I'm really sorry. I was wrong. I now get it. But right now, I've had to put this one aside. I didn't enjoy it. That's that one. And I don't like saying that about books, and I don't like bringing those to you, but this is quite an exciting book to think that the writer is Chinese, he lives in Australia, and he can give you that connection or that perspective. But I wasn't a big fan of the writing. So that's that one anyway. I'm hoping that I can come back to that. So the next one, now Abby's Bookshop some weeks ago had a sale on a lot of their books. I did do an unboxing with some of the full price books. I failed to video an unboxing with the half price books. I was too eager to rip into them, and I just thought you probably all may think that I'm a bit loopy having so many books. So I refrained from doing that for your benefit as well as for mine. But this is one of the books. Now, the books that were on sale, they had this, Abby's Bookshop had this massive sale. Some of the books were $5, $8, and hardcover as well. They were fantastic. So I did limit myself, but there was the likelihood that I could have run wild. But I wanted to show you this one today. This was only a few dollars. It wasn't very expensive at all, or none of them were, but this was extraordinary. This is The Lonely Planet Food, the world's best experiences for chocolate lovers. Now, you all know I love my books, I love my hardcovers, and I love food. All food, good quality food. This is the Global Chocolate Tour. I wanted to show you this because it's just advocating food, isn't it? And I thought you would be interested because it shows you all around the world. I'm hoping you can see these. I'm not very good at showing you these oftentimes. It goes around the world telling you where their chocolate comes from, where their beans, where the culture has come from for eating or drinking chocolate. And I find that really interesting, actually, because depending on where you are in the world, the chocolate tastes completely different. And I have had that experience on a number of occasions. Wherever we go around the world, I have in the past, I like to sample their food, obviously, their chocolate particularly, because it does, food does change, obviously, from culture to culture. There's different spices or no spices or sauces, but the chocolate, where you think that a standard chocolate, a piece of chocolate or a drinking chocolate would be the same, it's not. It really does vary depending on the bean, depending on the milk that they use and other ingredients. So it's really exciting and interesting to sample the chocolate wherever you source it from. And I think these also give you, it tells you what to do when you go to, for instance, if you go to Trinidad, it tells you places that you can go to nearby to do with chocolate and food. But it also, I think it gives you, it just tells you the places. And I thought it had a couple of recipes in here, actually. I'm fairly sure it does. When I went through it, I'm fairly sure, I could be wrong on that, but I thought I saw a few recipes. But it'll tell you the chocolate making factory or the chocolate making place, shop or location. It will tell you what they offer. So it can be tastings, classes, a shop, a cafe, and transport. It will give you, it just says here, tasting, shop, cafe, transport. So you know that if you go to the Kit Kat Chocolatory in Ginza, then you know that you can have a tasting and there's a cafe and a shop and so forth. There are sometimes classes and things like that. This is really interesting, particularly if you're traveling and you do want to visit some chocolate making outlets or factories. Or if you can't travel, but you want to have a look at what the countries have to offer in their chocolate making facilities. So that was really good. And I think that was either $5 I bought that for, which I thought was really good value. It's a hardcover and it is, let me see, it's around about 250 pages. So, and also, what I really noticed, what I really loved, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the end papers have little stamps of the locations. I'm hoping you can see all of those properly. So they have surfboards, probably for Australia, the Scottish thistle, and so forth. So Canada, the bear. So it's a really, really interesting book. So if you're interested in chocolate, or you're interested in travelling and visiting various places where they make chocolate, that one is definitely a book to purchase. Now, I finished reading this a little while ago, and I have to say it is one of the most beautiful books I have read, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I'll tell you what it is. It is Australian author Craig Silvey, his children's book called Runt. It is illustrated by Sarah Acton. Here it is here. We have beautiful blue with the dog on the front, Craig on the spine, the title and Craig Silvey's name. And then on the end papers, we have all little illustrations of the dog and little girl. Now, the dog and little girl. The little girl is Annie. The dog's name is Runt. This is hardcover. I don't think it comes in paperback, which I absolutely love. You know I love the hardcovers. This is 342 pages with illustrations. Let me show you some of the illustrations. This is, oh, come on. Why does this always happen when there's a little illustration there? They're absolutely beautiful. This is a story that is written for children. I'm really not sure what age. I don't think it has on here an age. Obviously, particularly now, I think different children, different ages, different reading abilities or different interests in reading. So it really, I think giving an age, like I always say to you, a book is a book for 0 to 100. No matter what age you are, I encourage you, everyone, to read every book you can, because not only does it help your imagination or to help reignite your imagination, you can also see the world through others' eyes. People younger than you, people older than you. It helps with the empathy. It really does help you become more self-aware and more empathic, and your imagination. It really does help you grow in that way. Is that a decent way of putting that? Perhaps. And we all have to grow. No matter what age you are, you have to grow in some aspect of your personality and your character and your being. It has won a lot of awards. It is absolutely delightful. Now, the story is about a little girl called Annie on an Australian farm called Ups and Downs. And she has a dog called Runt. Now, I will not tell you the full story. Obviously, I try not to, no matter what book it is. I want you to discover it for yourself. I absolutely recommend everyone to buy this book. It has the old-fashioned values of what's right and wrong and good and bad, good and evil. And it also shows you what is important in life, what is important and which is love, kindness, family, good friends, and often those two are interchangeable. It is the most heartwarming story. I absolutely love this. Please read it. Please do yourself a favour and read it, no matter what age you are, no matter where you are in the world. You get a little bit of Australia. It's funny. There is a bit of humour. On a number of occasions, I did laugh out loud. It has that Australian sort of English humour, very witty. I really loved it. Now, I have seen more recently some shorts from the movie. An Australian company has now turned this into, or is turning this into a movie, or has turned it into a movie. I don't know that it's out yet. I haven't seen it, but I will certainly be going to our independent theatre to watch it if and when it's out. I absolutely love the story, and when I saw the shorts of the movie, it looks colourful and funny, and the actors really do look like the people as I envisaged them in the book. So fingers crossed, it's going to be a great movie. It looks fantastic. The book is divine. Now, this was written quite a few years ago, actually. I think it was... I thought it was actually a little bit older than that. It's a 2022, so it's only 2 years ago. This was first published, and this edition is 2022. No wonder he won so many awards. He really is a beautiful storyteller, a beautiful children's writer. I loved it, absolutely loved it. I cannot recommend it enough. Honestly, do yourself a favour. It takes you across the world. The story takes you across the world. There are some elements that are really truthful and really realistic. And of course, there's that little, particularly in children's books with imagination, there is a little bit of elements of not being real, of course. Although the majority of it was very realistic. You could imagine it happening. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. Now, if you don't read it yourself, do yourself a favour, buy it for your children or your grandchildren. This is a classic. It is going to sit on their shelves for a long time. It is simply written. It is written for children, although not too simply written. It is witty. It made me laugh. And you know, there were some elements that really resonated with me. They really spoke to me. I loved it. Well done, Craig Silvey. You deserve all of the accolades that you've received. It is a brilliant book. Okay, so that's those four. I'll just go over those again. Dear Reader, I absolutely recommend. Fantastic. Loved it. It will stay on my shelves, and I will be referring to it to get those book recommendations from it. It was lovely, and it was really well written. I'm using really a lot, aren't I? But it was well written, and really, you could really relate to it. It was really relatable. I loved it. It was fantastic. The White Cockatoo Flowers, I'm going to have to give this another go. It just didn't grab me. I found it very disjointed. I don't like having any negativity on here, and certainly not about books. And that is the only negative thing. There's nothing apart from that. The fact that I couldn't, it was disjointed, and I just couldn't get into the stories. I will have another go though. So that's not to say that you won't enjoy it. But yeah, I'll have to give it another go in the future, I think. And the Global Chocolate Tour by Lonely Planet, I do recommend it. It is a great reference book, particularly if you are traveling and you want to go to places where they're making chocolate, or if you can't travel, you can certainly have a look. And perhaps even try and buy the chocolate from those countries if you can. That's always a challenge for us. And the second favourite today, apart from Dear Reader, is definitely Runt by Craig Silvey. Absolutely loved it. I recommend it. Fantastic. Now, the other thing I wanted to say to you, in the thank you video a week or so ago, I made two suggestions that we are going to now run with. One of them is to add, whenever we go to a country town in the travel videos, we will seek out the street-free libraries. If they need a bit of a tidy up, we'll tidy them up, and we will add to them. That's the first thing. Now, what I've done, I went to a secondhand bookshop in Book Now in Bendigo and bought 7 books for $10. They're secondhand books. I bought a few books that not necessarily I would like, but that I thought somebody else would like. I bought a mix of paperback and hardcover, whatever they had on offer. Now, some of these, so I'll just go through them quickly. I can't remember now which is which, but I also have a sister and brother-in-law who has very kindly donated some books that they no longer want. And they gave them to me to either read or donate to the library. So these are ones, this is a combination of the secondhand bookshop, and I think I've got about 10 or so from my sister and brother-in-law, one of my sisters and brother-in-law who has donated. So this is the first one, Paul Johnson, The Golden Silence. Some of these I have read, some of them I haven't. This is... I always do this. I always take them off and then I need them again. This is Corydon and the Island of Monsters by Tobias Druitt. This is a children's book. It looks really interesting. Actually, I'm thinking I might have a bit of a read of that before I give it to the library. Okay, this is Kylie Ladd's Into My Arms. Jeffrey Archer, To Cut a Long Story Short. Wilbur Smith, The Seventh Scroll. As I say, some of these are hardcovers, some of them are paperbacks. Nora Roberts' Shadow Spell, which is one in a trilogy. Oh, Hannah Kent's Burial Rites. The Forest of Souls by Carla Banks. Matthew Riley's The Tournament. Roses by Leela Mesham. I hope I'm showing you those. Richard Flanagan, The Narrow Road to the Deep North. Louisa May Scott's Little Women. That one's a little bit damaged. It's from the secondhand bookshop. So what I may do, some of these, I always clean the books before I read them or put them on my bookshelf if they're secondhand. So I will clean them up and I think we'll try to repair that. Perhaps put a firmer cover underneath. Oh, maybe we'll see what we can do. But that one, I thought that was a really good for children. It is more of a children's version. This one, I think, but I don't want to give it away so damaged. Anyway, Ruth Rendell, The Fever Tree and Other Stories. The Kissing Gate by Pamela Haynes. As I say, some of these I wouldn't read myself. They don't interest me, but I thought they may interest others, so I've bought them. Leota's Garden by Francine Rivers. And I bought some cleaning products so that we can clean up the street libraries. So that's those. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 books all up. So that's good, isn't it? We'll just give 1 or 2 away per street library. So we won't be giving them all to one street library. We'll just give 1 or 2 as we go around. And of course, we'll be picking up more along the way and then replacing the books in the next town. So it'll be a swings and roundabouts type of scenario. Okay, I'll take them all in that book. So in future travel videos, you'll see that we'll be giving 1 or 2 of these away per street video. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to remind you all about, I think what we're going to do for the book competition is we will have the 12 questions ready, 6 from the book recommendation videos and 6 from the travel videos. We will have those ready, I'm hoping by, say, the 1st of October, and we will ask for them to be submitted by after a certain date in October, late October. So let's say, for instance, we open the competition on the 1st of October, and we may say, right, the first correct answers, 1 in the Northern Hemisphere, 1 in the Southern Hemisphere, the first correct answers given to us by, say, midday Australian Eastern Standard Time on the 31st of October will be the winner. And then we will try and get the books to you before Christmas, because by the time I select, order, pay, and then have them sent out to you, let's say I don't do that until early November, then hopefully you'll get your books well before December for Christmas. And we'll try and have them wrapped as well. I will see if the bookshops will, if we pay a little bit extra, we might wrap them so that you can't open them until Christmas. I don't know. We'll see how we go with that. It's an idea. So don't forget that. It will be questions from 6 book recommendations and 6 travel videos. You will have to answer those questions correctly, and it's open to everyone, whether you are a subscriber or just but if you're not a subscriber and you are a viewer only, or if you are a subscriber, it will be open to everyone who subscribes, everyone who views the videos. And you'll hopefully get a nice book. You'll receive a nice book in your genre that you like. Okay, I will leave you there. I have a lot to do today. I'm actually going away and for a couple of days to video some more towns for you in a few weeks' time, that you'll be available for viewing in a few weeks' time. And I have lots to do before then. We have some pet-friendly accommodation, and I have to get ready for that. I have to make sure that the dogs are clean and their nails are cut and their bedding's washed and clean and all that. So I have to do all of that. So I will leave you. I hope you have a wonderful week. And whether you're able to read a book or a page or a paragraph, it doesn't matter. And whether it's a magazine or a book, it's so important to read. It nourishes your soul. It really does. And don't forget those 4 book that was a bit loud. Those 4 book recommendations: Runt, the Global Chocolate Tour, the White Cockatoo Flowers, and Dear Reader. they're all exciting. Okay, and if you have read any of them, don't tell me. Oh, well, of course. No, they are the ones I've read, aren't they? Oh, except the White Cockatoo Flowers. I'd be interested to know if anybody has read that. I haven't read it right through. As I say, I couldn't read it. I will have to get back to it. But if you have read it and you can help me understand it a little bit more, I would appreciate that. Or let me know what you think, whether you had the same trouble as I did or whether you didn't. I would be really interested to know. I'd also like to know what you think of Runt if you have read it, and Dear Reader. I just absolutely love those two books. They were fantastic. Okay, I will leave you for now. Have a wonderful week. Eat good food, read a good book or a good magazine. It doesn't matter which, just good reading. Safe travels, and I will see you in the next video, whichever one that may be. Okay, take care. Bye for now. Thank you.